What's going on, y'all? Welcome to my channel. I'm Ri'LL King, and yo, this is it, y'all. All right, so I got a nice video for y'all today. We're gonna talk about skateboarding. So for all y'all out there that don't really know me and the history about myself, let me go ahead and just break y'all off a little small piece. So I'm kind of dressed up specifically. Right now, you see I got the Volcom shirt on. And of course, I'm rocking the little cargos or whatever. What significance does that have? Well, let me tell y'all. So for y'all that don't know, I am a skateboarder. I've been skateboarding for a long time. I started out when I was like 12 years old. 1988 to be exact. So let's go ahead and get right into the whole history of me skateboarding. I mean, I started, let's see. Well, first of all, I started off BMX biking, okay, when I was young, especially growing up in Houston. You know, my favorite pastime, was biking, simple stuff, dirt ramps, dirt jumps or whatever, wheeling and stuff like that, doing little endos and bunny hopping, that, basic stuff. We was like kids, so I always had like, Diamondbacks and Mongooses were my main bikes that I had, mainly Mongooses. So anyways, that's where I started off. Now I grew up in H-Town, Mo City, Missouri City was where I grew up, and then we kind of migrated towards, started heading south after that. So in '87, I moved away to Oregon, which is where I was born at. And so in '87, things were different because up in Oregon, everything was like kind of switched for the most part. Yes, I saw people on BMX bikes or bikes, but not as many as I used to see. But then there was this thing that I did see people like, racing down the street on that had all these colors on them. Never seen it before. So I had to run into the house and ask my sister. I'm like, yo, I said, what are those things that these kids are going down the street on? Didn't even really know how to explain it. So she was like, oh, is it one of these? And it turns out her dad had built one of these, like made it from scratch. It was a piece of was it like it was like a small piece of wood. I don't know if it was like a 2x2. It was small, yo. Thin, not small, thin. And it was cut out like in the shape of it was flat, didn't have nothing on it. It was just flat. It was painted gray, and it had these strips of sandpaper that was supposed to be the grip tape. And then on the bottom were hammered, or it was either hammered or drilled in wheels to roller skates. Okay, so that was the start of the knowledge. All right, 5th grade, after school, there's a little amusement park called Oaks Park that over by the neighborhood that I stayed at when I lived in Portland. It was a little small town subdivision called Selwood, suburban area. But anyways, one of the pastimes as a kid, especially in the '80s growing up, was going to the roller skating rink. So I participated even though I had no skills. I can't recall myself even, roller skating in Houston when I grew up. So we go, and it was not something that was easy to me. It just wasn't. It was very difficult. I kept falling. Never got the concept. There was people that did all that crazy stuff. I couldn't do none of it. And I just got tired of wearing my behind out. So at some point, I just got an interest in these boards that people were riding down the street on. And they had cool colors and designs and this and that. Like they were just doing some kind of cool things on them. So she was trying to show me. My sister's like 4 years younger than me. So she was 8 and I was 12. And she's showing me stuff, she's like, it's hard to do. And You know, you're gonna fall and you might hurt yourself. Da, 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 da. At that very moment, y'all, that was the start of something that has never ended with me. And I got on the skateboard and I never fell. And I think she was kind of surprised because I had good balance. Now, how I have good balance on 4 wheels as opposed to 8, I don't know. But roller skating never did it for me. So basically, how I got into skateboarding was because I could not roller skate. That's just it. Couldn't roller skate, didn't like it, so I got into skateboarding, which a lot of people apparently find to be hard. It just wasn't for me. All right, so that was the start of it. And as a lot of skateboarders' first, stories, they had a little POS, junker, hand-me-down, just, something to start on. And that was my case. But guys, I got a funny little story about mine. So there was a brand called Concrete Jungle that was out back then. And particularly, which one? Oh, I forgot the name. There was 2 of them. There was a Concrete Jungle DRI. And then there was another one, and I cannot remember the name of it. But it was it was the one that was fly. So there was this geek down the street who stayed by this community center who had like a lot of toys. He just wasn't a popular kid, but he had like a lot of toys. He had all the G.I. Joes, like all of them. And then one year for Christmas, dude got like this skateboard, the Concrete Jungle. And it was dope. Hot pink grip tape. It was a dope board. I think it had slime ball wheels. Sick board for back then. And it didn't make no sense how this dude had this board. He got it for his birthday, and I attended his birthday, which was like around Christmas time. So his family invited me over, and I was up to no good back in them days, y'all. I had sticky fingers big time, so I was all about jacking you. So he had this board, and what happened was his family left home and to dispose of this Christmas tree or whatever. So I left and go back down the street to my house. I went back to his house because he lived right next to the community center. So I would always, mess around at the community center. And I think I had a board. I had a Alva Dave Duncan, maybe. But it was ugly. It was trash. And he had his brand new board. So here's my thinking. Here's what I did. So I break into his house. I broke into the back of his house. I took a shovel and I broke the window, reached in, undid, got inside his house. I didn't really want to rummage I wasn't trying to rummage and get nothing because I needed to get out in and out quick. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how long they was going to be gone. So I was trying to get in and out. So I looked around and I think I got a couple G.I. Joes that he had because he had them just all in his bed or his bedroom. But the board was what I really tried to get. So I got that piece. I threw it out the door. And then I think I opened it and then I locked it and shut it. And then I dipped. I forgot how I got this board back home. And I just forgot. I don't remember how that all happened. But I did. I got it home and I snuck it. I kind of kept it hidden for a while from my family, because I know my mama would ask questions. So I stuck it in the backyard or in the back where the dog's house was for a couple. And I just really took it out like during when I came home from school before my mama got home. And I just would, and then I would ride it around, the neighborhood for a little bit. And I'd stash it places until, it was crazy stuff. Long story short, they got word of it and it took them no time. I played it cool, like I ain't know nothing, even though I did. My family didn't know nothing. My mama wasn't suspicious about nothing because she ain't seen nothing at that time. She finally did see that I had something. And I made some BS story about it though. And then maybe after a few days, my mama told me, or something happened to where the boy's family was either called or something like that. I think my mama found the board, and so my jig was up. So that was my first major skateboarding kind of a situation. It was a sick board, and I just liked it. It was a very popular brand. And I don't recall me getting, my sister had gotten a nice board for her for Christmas one year. Actually, it was a nice one. She got a Nash skateboard, but she got Venture trucks on it. That's the thing. She got Venture trucks, and that made me mad, you know. So anyways, that was my start into skateboarding. 88. So from 88, I stopped. I didn't actually, I was doing stuff. I was doing a lot of jumps and ramps. And there was another brother in the neighborhood that was kind of good also, because there was only two of us that were in this whole suburban area. It was easy to point out. But I was known to be good. I was really doing some things. But then I stopped after that. Something happened to where I had to stop. And I didn't pick it back up but I kind of stayed a little in the scene with the knowledge. I remember watching skate videos like Psycho Skate, the Vision Streetwear video. Mark Gonzalez on that piece. He's like my favorite skater of all time. So I was staying in tune with skateboarding. I was drawing it, and I was looking for videos. And back then, skateboarding was way different than it is now. So that was when I was 12. Now let's fast forward to 22. I had already torn my ACL. I had got my surgery. Now I'm laid up and I can't do nothing. So I'm going to this park downtown Portland. And this was 95, 96. And I'm in this full cast of brace and I can't do nothing, but I'm seeing all these skateboarders and they're doing crazy tricks. I'm like, geez, like this is blowing my mind, because it was like mad different than when I was starting out. But these dudes was killing it, y'all. It was dope. So that's basically what got me back into it. I got that bug in me again, and I rushed my rehabilitation. 96 comes around. I bought my first skateboard after I got my first paycheck from my first job at McDonald's. Because I moved back to H-Town at this point in 96. Ending in 95, beginning in 96. I'm in H-Town, Southwest Side, Belford, Bissonnette, all that area. And there was a mall over in that area that it's no longer there, and I can't even think of the name, and you guys wouldn't even remember it. But anyways, I had worked at McDonald's, which is still there because it used to be right Astro World, close to Astro World. So that was the McDonald's over there is still there, and that's my first job. My first paycheck, I booked it all the way across town to the skate shop. Bought my first skateboard. It was a purple Pal Blank with what kind of trucks are those? Grind King trucks, and I think some Bones wheels, and I don't know what kind of bearings. And that was my first time getting back into it, and I got really good. I was getting myself reacquainted with skateboarding, and there was, back at this time, guys, this was not even a thing in Texas, in Houston. It just wasn't. And I know that because the X Games was kind of just on, and there was this little neighbor kid that stayed in his apartments across the way from my auntie. I was staying with my auntie at the time, and he took a liking to it. So I was skating just around the way, doing little simple stuff, because my knee still wasn't in good condition. And so I just kind of was, showing this kid how to skate, and then all of a sudden I moved back to Oregon. I believe that was like the beginning of 98, I believe. 98 or 97, I think it was 98. And now at this time, I had already been skating a little bit, so I was comfortable, but I didn't know much about the skate culture, which that was a big thing now. It wasn't such a big deal in the 80s, but it was now in the late 90s, because there was a certain dress code. Skateboards were different then. So I wanted to show y'all something. So you guys see my board. To a lot of people, this may seem like it's small. This is a size 7.5, or is it 7.75? No, this is a 7. I think this is a 7.5, y'all. And which is, you know, this is a normal size board for me. When I was doing skateboarding at first, they didn't have this, and they had the tail, but they had different shaped boards. Like this pill shape wasn't on when I was starting out. You had like fish shapes, and you had different designs, stuff like that. They had the nose barely had started, and really it started because of Chinese ollies or nollies, what they're calling them now. And so that's really where the nose started coming from. So when I got back into skateboarding, these boards, okay, so I was riding big boards, because in the 80s it was all about these huge boards, size 9s and 10s. So when I got back in it, that's what I was rocking, was these big boards. And we called them back then large, minis, and I think smalls, or medium, small. Anyways, so I go to the skate shop. I'm asking for a skateboard, and I'm using old terms because I hadn't been in the scene for a while. So I was rocking these bigger boards. So I had a homeboy who did a lot of tech stuff, and he rode these small boards compared to mine. And he's like, if you want to do more technical or flip your board better, you need to get a smaller board or a thinner board. So I was like, that's kind of different for me. So then I started rocking these small boards, and of course it stayed with me. So I basically have been rocking these small boards longer than for basically the majority of my skate career, because that's all I ride, even today. And I ride loose trucks. So anyways, I started getting into the science and the technical parts of skateboarding, how things work and everything like that. So Oregon is really where it all started for me. That's where I started doing my skateboarding. I started hanging out with people that were better than me. I held my own. The style of dress and everything was also something that was my thing, because I just didn't see a point in dressing a certain way. I dressed more like I felt, and what I was into, what was influencing me was in the 90s hip hop. So baggy clothes, hat to the back, like I got mines and everything. That was how I rocked. Now, y'all see me in the Volcom shirt now, but that's not something I used to wear. It was normally like rock-aware, woo-wear, and Nietzsche, the hip hop stuff, the b-boy stuff that was out. Even the cargos. I didn't even like green camouflage cargos. I just liked the basic. And these cargos started from back there, y'all. The 90s, yeah, we did that. We did that. The skateboarders, we did that, because we was getting that from the East Coast flavor. So the cargos style that y'all doing today, it came from us. We was doing that back in the 90s and everything. But I used to always rock just a regular black or solid colors. I did not like anything army based or whatever like that. But so that's how it all started. And Oregon really had a lot of good skaters. Portland, to be exact, a lot of good skaters. And so I hung out with people that were good, and I held my own. And so I progressed. I got way better, and I became a skate rat big time. That's all I did. I slept. I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like, it was everything to me. Videos. It was big, y'all, because I was in my early 20s, just 22, and this is what I was doing. I just had a little shitty job, and that's all I needed. Had an apartment, no food up in it, crash pad, videos, video games, and skateboarding. So that's basically how it was. So the 80s, big boards, the 90s brought the pill shape boards, but they were still big, and the baggy pants, like super baggy, and the big shirts. And then the late 90s kind of slimmed stuff down a little bit as well as the boards. And then as y'all see in the 2000s, now you guys have these big boards again. And I can't tell you, man, like, I can't get down with these big boards like that. Like, it's something that I just can't do. I might try an 8 at some point, and the only reason I'm saying that is because they're kind of phasing out the 7.5s or just the 7s at all. So I'll try an 8 when I get back into it, and that's probably all I'm gonna do because I cringe at watching these super wide boards and people are doing these crazy tricks. It doesn't even make sense to me. So as I've already showed y'all in another video, S's. This is basically one of my favorite brands. That's why I still rock with them today. I did skate a lot of skate brands just because that's what I did. You know, Osiris, DC's, Adidas, Converse, Etnies, Ezekiel. I think Ezekiel. But anyways, S's has been the main one that I love since day one. Some of the best skateboarders have ridden for, you know, S's. So I rock with them. Now, also, I don't know if y'all have seen me wear this brand right here. It's synonymous to snowboarding. Now, I'm only mentioning that is because, you know, a lot of people think that, well, if you know how to skateboard, then you automatically know how to snowboard. Well, I get the idea and the concept because of the steez and the tricks that they do snowboarding, but it really stops there, because the actual way that you're supposed to snowboard, and I have not done this, but I'm going by what I've heard, is it's more equivalent, or it's more in line with a surfer. So from what I've heard, surfing uses toe and heel edge. Those are for your turns and carves. So when you're on a snowboard, you're strapped into this board and you're facing this way, but the board is like this. So what that means is, now when you're placing your bindings on the board, you have them set to a certain degree of stance and stuff like that, wider or more narrow, and then different the feet positions are a certain way. And that's how it's going to be. Now, the thing is, if you're trying to carve, let's say, right, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be doing a toe edge. And if you want to turn left, you're going to be doing a heel edge. Now, it's slight movements depending on how sharp you're trying to turn, or wide and all that kind of stuff. Now, you notice how I said heel and toe edges. That means you're only using those parts to do it, and they're kind of slight movements unless you're comfortable and you know what you're doing. But you know, once you already know those things, then you know how much, you know, forward and backwards that you need to put pressure on those kinds of edges and stuff. But that's really where that comes from, and it's all balancing, and it's kind of like you're keeping your knees bent a little bit for balance purposes, because if you're standing straight up, you're gonna just bite it and it's gonna be messed up. So now I will say this, that certain skateboard knowledge and ways help you in snowboarding. So going switch, if you know switch in skateboarding, then it's kind of simple when you're snowboarding, because again, your board is the same width, it's the same edges like a skateboard. You have the tails and all that. So, and you know, so once you turn around and when you're on a snowboard, you're going this way. Now you're going fakie. So you're now in switch mode if you're using whichever end of the snowboard. And so you can do certain little things in switch on a snowboard, which, like, you can do little ollies. The balance, because now your toe and heel edge is a little different, like it would feel different if you're on a skateboard doing something switch. But like simple ollies, it's pretty simple, you know. But when you're trying to do like your heel and toe edges, you may need a little bit of refreshing on that, you know what I'm saying? But there are some similarities, and it's really fun. So I do it all, y'all. I've done biking, I skateboard, I can snowboard, I can even ski, but I don't like skiing. So that's just that. The skate scene today is a lot different than it was in the 90s. I don't like it. I think it's kind of cheap, personally. Yeah, these kids are doing like some crazy tricks and they're much young doing stuff, that's just bananas. So I get it. I just think that they're a cheap version of how we used to get down. Because we had good steez in the 90s, mad flavor. Like you look at any old videos and everybody had dope flavor, dope steez, the shoes, everything was on point. Everybody. Nowadays, it's like my perception of skateboarders nowadays, they look like broke, bummy, old, young people, or very bummy, trashy, like delinquents. And I'm not trying to, throw darts, but they look really, really bummy, you know. And the shoes that they wear, I guess they're called skinny shoes or whatever. I don't know, slim. It just looks terrible because it's like you guys are just basically using stuff that we never liked back in the day, and you guys are eating it up like it's some big deal and it's actually cool when it really isn't. It's terrible. Converse, the skating, just awful, awful, awful. All that stuff is just it's complete garbage, complete garbage. The way that their baggy fit clothes is just like ugh. Like I don't like it. I cringe. So that's why y'all see me always wearing what I wear. I dress like I dressed back then because I like the way we dressed back then and it's timeless to me. Everybody wears cargos, you know what I'm saying? Influences I had growing up, there wasn't a lot of brothers growing up that I looked up to. Ray Barbie was around. He was dope, so he was fly, but I really liked Mark Gonzalez. Um, and I didn't really watch a lot of skateboarders, so I didn't really have too many influences starting out. Maybe in my later years, I watched some people and I got influenced, but I really liked my own style. I liked doing my own thing, and that was it. But I had people that I watched, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. That was cool, but I really just was doing my own thing, you know what I'm saying. So not too many influences. Um, I'm very comfortable on skateboard. I'm almost 50 years old, y'all, and skateboarding is just a part of my DNA. Like the Lakers, like those are the skateboarding, my Lakers and Wu-Tang Clan. That's all that's those are my go-tos. You know what I'm saying? And as long as I have them joints, you know what I mean, I'm good. And Wu-Tang is synonymous to skateboarding anyway, so it all kind of comes together perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm always gonna be a skater. That's just me. My first skateboard I bought when I was in H-Town, I slept with the piece. You know what I'm saying? But that's common. Skateboarders do that. Tricks and stuff like that. I got real good when I came back into it. Because then I moved back to Texas and for another time in 2002, 2003. I was like 26, going on 27. Got back in the scene because I was skating hard back in Portland. I was skating hard. I was doing like big stuff, big gaps and all of that. So I was really deep. I was, rubbing elbows with a few different pros. I was always at the main skate shops and stuff like that. I was deep in it. So when I moved back to Texas, I got right back in, kept it going, skated everywhere, did tricks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was about my business and definitely was no poser. I don't believe in that poser stuff. Like I get it in. Get it in. Racism about skateboarding. I never had no racism. I never witnessed any racism with skateboarding, y'all. It wasn't, never had no problems with that. So everybody accepted me for who I was. I had different friends that were into like hard rock music, like heavy metal. They knew I was down with my Wu-Tang and all of that. But Wu-Tang is kind of like a common, ground for a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? So I just had plenty of friends, man, that, friends that listen to rap, friends that didn't listen to rap, friends that hated rap or thought they hated rap, but, it was one common goal, skateboarding. I met mad friends skateboarding, just going places. Skateboarding has got me a lot of friends. So, um, I almost got sponsored by a skate shop in Austin. They wanted to sponsor me. They needed to get this team up because I was pretty good. I was skating with some good peeps, and we were trying to do some little filming. But jobs got in the way and stuff like that. Having a girlfriend is, you know, that kind of stuff. Um, Biking and skateboarding. So the bikers have always been. It's always been a thing that I enjoy doing. That's why y'all hear about me getting a new bike. Um, and let me give you a quick update. FedEx tells me that the bike ain't gonna come until Sunday now. So real quick, let me get that out the way. It's not gonna come tomorrow. Apparently, it's gonna come Sunday. So biking and skateboarding, I always have a love for biking. That's where I started. But bikers and skateboarders kind of always had a little friction, although bikers be coming to our parks. So it's like, yo, this is a skate park, not a biking park. But I always have love for bikers because they're mad raw. They go crazy hard, and they're very much equivalent. You know, they get in line with skateboarders. You know, there was, you know, sometime back in the day there used to be friction between the bikers and the skateboarders at the parks. You know what I'm saying? But it never got too out of hand too many times. But there was definitely a respect. Sometimes the respect was if there's bikers at the skate park, you know what I'm saying? Let them do their thing. They gonna dip, and then once they, you know, and then vice versa. So there's a mutual respect to some degree. At least there was back then. I don't know how it is now, but yo, that's basically how it was. But I wanted to do a little different video today, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just to, you know, give you guys a little information about my background on skateboarding, because a lot of people don't understand me or may not know nothing about me like that. You know what I'm saying? But my dress is kind of the way I am because I'm a skateboarder, and I'm always going to be a skateboarder. But back then, growing up, there wasn't a lot of us back there that was skateboarding. So, you know, it was definitely a predominantly Caucasian activity, and you really had to stand out to be accepted or to be taken seriously amongst the crew. So I was in at a time where it was just getting in there. You had Stevie Williams. You had a handful of people: Clyde Singleton, Kevin Taylor, Kareem Campbell, who everybody used to call me, you know, they used to say I look like Kareem Campbell. You had Tyrone Olsen. You had the OG Harold Hunter from Zoo York. I mean, you had a handful of really dope skateboarders that were brothers, you know what I'm saying? But now it's all over the place. Now it's you know, so it's gotten a much more culturally diverse. You know, now there's female skateboarding and stuff like that, and there's dogs and cats and stuff. Like, it's gotten too diverse, I guess, man. But you know what I'm saying? Skateboarding is fun. I can't wait to get back into it, and I will be getting back into it. My goal is by my birthday. I need to get back on this board. I'm gonna show y'all that video too. So stay tuned. For right now, I'm exercising my knee, getting that strengthened up so I can comfortably get on that board. You know, I'll be probably babying it with my knee brace or whatever, but I'm getting on this board, y'all. I'm gonna be getting on it, and I can't wait. I want to get to doing my tricks again, my tech tricks, my flip tricks, grinds, and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was doing before, but even better. If I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna come back better. I always do. So, yo, that's my video for y'all today. I hope y'all enjoyed my video. If y'all enjoyed this video, give it a like. Also hit the notification bell, y'all, so that way you can get notified when I'm dropping my videos. And if y'all haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do me a favor, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Help me out. You know, help my channel grow and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a new face to YouTube, and I'm trying to get my foot in the door. So every little bit that y'all do for me helps out. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of y'all be viewing my channel, but go ahead and, you know, give it a thumbs up, you know, or just say something, you know what I'm saying? Engage with me a little bit more, you know what I mean? Help me out, you know what I'm saying? Especially if y'all know me like that. Come on, y'all. Yeah. I'm Real King, and this is it, y'all. Be cool.